So something super weird went down. It appears that Donald Trump has actually praised Joe Biden's State of the Union address, at least in some kind of fashion. Now, it's not like super high praise or anything like that, but coming from Donald Trump, right, a very, very antagonistic kind of person, this is shocking. And so when I see this and when I saw this, I tried thinking like, okay, what could be the reason for this? And I think I figured it out. So he sent this out on Truth Social. He said, look, he worked hard tonight. It's not a natural thing for him. It never was and never will be. But you've got to give him credit for trying. I disagree with him on most of his policies, but he put into words what he felt, and he ended up the evening far stronger than he began. Give him credit for that. Many things weren't mentioned that should have been, but that's for another time. I've done a little clip. Perhaps you'd like to watch it. Good night, everybody, and God bless America. So I have a lot to say about this, honestly. There's a lot going on with this whole thing, especially, again, we want to look at this from a political science perspective as much as possible, right? But so what you can see here is a very, like, sort of, it's not like he's, like, overly he's not really praising him, but just because it's Trump, right, it deviates so much from the mean because Trump just shits on everybody in every way possible, right? So even if it's something that's slightly like that, like a weird, like, kind of fake praise, it's a huge deal, right? So why would he do this? And what I think is going on here is this is a political strategy. And so what it appears that Trump is doing, I don't know if he's hired any political strategist or what kind of political strategy he's adopted fully, but it's definitely different than his 2016 strategy. Even his campaign launch, remember, it was like very tame and tepid. It was very like low kind of energy, like kind of monotone, chill kind of vibe. It was more so that rather than the bombastic, I'm walking down the escalator and then I'm going to say all this stuff about like Mexican immigrants and all this stuff, things like that, right? Those kinds of things. It's the complete opposite. And so what it seems like he's doing now is he's trying to make himself more marketable as more mainstream accepted. Because what I think he realizes has happened is he went TFG, like he went way too far gone. And so he went way too extreme. And so now no one in the mainstream is really accepting him in any way, shape, or form. And so what he has to do at this point is he has to kind of get back in. I mean, think about it. The guy is sending out social media posts, goddamn Truth Social. Like nobody's on Truth Social. So it just kind of goes to show you just how like out of the mainstream he is. And you can't win when you're that out of the mainstream. The media was covering him nonstop in 2016. Actually, I was reading a political science study. It actually said that the news coverage of him in the 2016 election was actually net positive. So it wasn't even negative coverage. So you can see that. So I think he's trying to take that as a more tame perspective. Also, how much does the Ron DeSantis situation impact this? Because remember, Ron DeSantis is on a daily basis. He's the new championed warrior of the right-wingers, especially the MAGA people, who are like, he's the one on the front lines of the fight against, trans people and all the, bullshit straw mans that right-wingers create and all that stuff. He's like supposedly like the front line guy, right? That's him. So I think maybe he's trying to kind of maneuver himself as like the middle of the road guy, which is hilarious that he's trying to pull this off. But it's honestly smart though. Like that's the thing. Trump is a smart dude. He's a massive piece of shit, but he's also really smart. You have to be really like smart to be this manipulative. And so he knows because in politics, right, the same thing will never always win. A lot of your win, sometimes most of your win is just entirely based on circumstance. So like Joe Biden in 2008, does he win? Who knows, right? In 2020, it was a great situation because of the basement strategy, right? You have these loud, very high decibel people. And so then you come in and you barely exist. And people like that. They're like, yes, bro, we're tired of the bluster. We're tired of the bumbling moron on the TV. We want someone we're never going to hear from again. So it's this weird schizophrenic, like back and forth that Americans do, where they just go from one extreme to the other. And it's just like, oh yeah, let's go from the first black guy to like the super racist white guy. And then it's just like, oh, like now we want to get a guy who's like, we're never going to see him again. It's like, it's crazy, honestly, the way it works. It's like just straight out like schizophrenia type of stuff. But anyways, what you can see here is he's trying to maneuver himself as the middle of the road guy, whereas Ron DeSantis is that guy, so I guess he's trying to maneuver himself that way. He's lost basically all of his elite support. If you don't know what elites mean in political science, when we say a party elite, it means someone either in media or a donor or a political party member. So Kevin McCarthy, a Sheldon Adelson, a Joe Scarborough, those are considered the elites. And those elites have super high impact on people's opinions on stuff. But we saw that the elites came out against Trump in 2016, but it didn't work, right? They were too splintered. If they had come around one person, he probably would have lost. if they had just picked one person and came around him. But there was too much splintering in the Republican Party that had been growing for honestly a long time. Remember, the Tea Party was fighting with a lot of people like John McCain and stuff like that. So there wasn't exactly like a super simpatico situation going on amongst the Republicans. Yo sent out a tweet saying his wife Jill is looking lovely tonight in a beautiful purple dress, clapping and applauding with great enthusiasm. Like super random to hear from Trump. This is like the antithesis of a Trump tweet, because it's like, it's not a tweet, it's a true social post, but it's like the antithesis of a Trump thing, because it's just so like tepid. Like it has like this very fake vibe to it, because it's obviously super fake, but he's trying to make himself more mainstream again. And I'm honestly impressed. And what he's doing here makes me think he's even smarter than I thought he was before, because the fact that he's realized like, hey, you can't run on the same thing and win over and over again. You have to adapt to whatever the political climate is. And a lot of people, they just can't adapt. They're just not transformative. That's not their fault. It's just like, you are who you are kind of thing, right? But the Make America Great Again 2016 bombastic walking down an escalator thing, that's not going to work in 2024. It won't work. That's actually the last thing that will work. And he knows that. And so now he's like, shit, like I need to be more quiet. Another really big impact I have to talk about this election is the media isn't covering Donald Trump that much, which is really fascinating. So it looks like the media really is done with Trump. And if the media is done with Trump, he has no chance, like zero chance whatsoever. And I think at this point, the media impact won't really do anything anyways. I mean, everyone kind of already knows him politically and everything. So it's like, you either like him or you don't. That's kind of the point what it is right now. So that's another huge thing, though. The media is not even covering him. So I think he's trying to get more in the good graces of the media. A lot of like people who are dictators or people like that will do this, where they create like this fake image of being like more mainstream and acceptable so that they'll be accepted by, the mainstream. And that's what it appears that Trump here is doing. So super fascinating stuff. And there's basically no way for Trump to win or a Republican to win, because basically what's going to end up happening is Trump and DeSantis are just going to mutilate each other. And so if Trump wins some kind of factious victory where he wins with like a small minority, like a plurality, like 30%, 35% of the race or whatever in a broken race, that means he's not going to actually have like a general election winning coalition. And then if DeSantis wins, he's just going to be so like maimed. He's just gonna be so maimed that there's no way he could really win, because Trump is like already like calling him a groomer and stuff like that. So it's getting serious, guys. It's really getting serious. And so that's why I really highly doubt that a Republican will win, just because there's just too much division amongst the Republicans. So I just can't see it happening.